The Florida Panthers just might have saved their season on Saturday night. On today's edition of the show, we're going to discuss how the Florida Panthers did it and how we're feeling about this team going into the All-Star break on today's edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast.
Your Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Sunday, January 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez, and you can follow me on Twitter at Monoman12. Follow the show account on Twitter at LO_FLA Panthers. Don't forget to send in your screenshot of your subscription to the Locked On Florida Panthers YouTube channel and your 5-star rating to whichever podcast app you listen to Locked On Panthers, and send it over to me on Twitter at LO_FLA Panthers, or email it to me at LockedOnFLAPanthers@gmail.com. The winner will be announced via a YouTube short on the YouTube page. So that's the only way you're going to find out who wins the contest. So good luck, everybody. So the Florida Panthers, they just can't seem to die. That's the best way I could put it, is just when you think their playoff chances are dwindling down, they find a way to come back and win and keep their way into the wild card race. And who better to discuss this win for the Florida Panthers, a 4-3 overtime win for the Cats over the Boston Bruins, it's a Sunday edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, which means it's another edition of Sunday with Slemp, which means Alex Slemp from Full Press Hockey is here to discuss this win. Alex, welcome back to Locked On Panthers.
Oh, it's good to be back, man. Good to be back. Gotta say, I love the way you phrase that. The cats won't die. Jeez.
Literally, when you think about it, Cats having nine lives, as they say, and the Panthers just seem to continue having life in their season. I mean, you think about how this game went with the Boston Bruins just dominating the possession, Alex Lyon just coming up big. I mean, there are times where even the Bruins were attempting some wraparounds and Alex Lyon was out of the net, and then even the players were starting to protect him. I mean, there was one specific one where Matthew Tkachuk gets a stick on it, and Alex Lyon is able to glove the puck, and even one that was on the goal line as well. And of course, matchup with this, of course, it's always a big matchup when you have Aleksander Barkov and Patrice Bergeron. But this game was all about Alex Lyon for the Panthers. I mean, keeping them in it, and the Panthers were behind twice in this one with a few mistakes from Brandon Montour and Sam Bennett in this one, but both made up for by tying the game too. Just it felt like that. It felt like if this game had an album cover theme, it's "Recovery" by Eminem.
There you go. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I mean, Alex Lyon, big story for the Panthers and what he did. And you know what I'll say? Like, I didn't think he was going to get the start for this game. I think just a lot of the very, the situation that it was. You're asking this guy to start back to back for the second time in a week. For a guy that hasn't had a whole lot of NHL experience, I just thought that was a lot, especially with the opponent they're going against. They had that deflating loss against the Kings. I really thought they were going to give goose to the cage and just be like, "Hey, man, show us something what you got. Let's see it." Obviously, Paul Maurice, he's the coach there for a reason. He was like, no, Lyon's our guy. And it was the absolute right call. The guy came in there and a great effort by him. He was looking a lot more comfortable in that, because the critique I had on him earlier was that he looked a little shook, and he didn't seem all that comfortable. I didn't really like how he was playing his angles. He wasn't looking all that big in the net. But he came out with just a phenomenal effort in this game. So, Yeah, great to see out of Alex Lyon.
Yeah, and sometimes the record won't reflect it. I mean, you see 3-2-1 on the in those 6 games, including just coming in 2 minutes into the Montreal game, 389 GAA. Of course, the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night can skew that just a little bit, and just the for him just facing 13 power play shots too. I mean, the Panthers only had one power play on the night, and that was part of a 5-on-3 and a 5-on-4 as well for the Cats. Just looking up real quickly how many power play shots they uh, had. They didn't have any power play shots in their time being up a man, and the Boston Bruins had 13 as well. And
Mhm.
so just incredible how some they say sometimes your best penalty killer is your goaltender as well, and also sometimes the Panthers leaving them out to dry. I mean, we mentioned it. Brandon Montour stretch pass, trying to get it to Eric Stahl, and then stolen by Craig Smith to beat Alex Lyon there, and then Sam Bennett as well, batting a puck into his own net when the
Oh,
game was tied. And both of those happened when the game were tied to give Boston the lead. But
mhm.
both guys made it up for scoring game tying goals as well.
Yeah.
So crazy to think. What do you think on those?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good to see both players get redemption. That Bennett tip, I mean, dirty tip, just wrong net, but that was something else. Not really sure quite what he was thinking on that one. Feel like that puck could have gone way wide, but the part you were talking about with the penalty kill, and sometimes that your goalie needs to be your best player. Absolutely, 100%. The Bruins had 4 power play opportunities before the second period was even done, and they didn't score on one. They had a lot of chances, but Lyon helped keep them in it. And I mean, it was so crucial to having the Panthers even have a shot at coming back in that game. You fall down to the Bruins, you're unlikely to come back. The Panthers before that game were winless when they fell behind in the first period, or in the second period, right? So they
Hmm.
got their first win after being behind like that on the season. It was huge, but it all starts there. Lyon gives them a chance by just being phenomenal on that PK, and making it so that the Bruins can extend their lead. But you look at guys like, Bennett, frustrated over some penalties he took, over that own goal, comes out and ties the game for him. You could just see the fight that was in him. Same with Montour. You look at the game tying goal, the 3-3 goal, when there's a battle for the puck behind the net, and you've got Reinhart just takes a massive hit, and he gets bounces up. He starts fighting in there. You got Verhage in there, but you look at Montour, and the guy is a monster back there, just giving everything. You can just see from the energy, from the fight, the battle that he's putting in there, that it was like you were saying before, their season was on the line. You could just be like, they had to get that goal. And to see Montour, just that fight that was in there, and that was something to watch. Yeah.
And not only Alex Lyon, but Alexander Barkov
Mm,
uh, just coming through when needed. And of course, the Brandon Montour goal was a deflected shot, right place, right time to beat Jeremy Swayman. And then on Sam Bennett's goal, he just skates through the zone so easily, and then beats Jeremy Swayman as well. And it's crazy just when you think about the dominant zone time that Boston had, where Alex Lyon was coming huge, and then really the goals coming in with mistakes by the Panthers instead of the Boston Bruins creating their own opportunities as well. That it's just and both goals being unassisted too. Let's not forget that
right.
for sure. And then you think about just the slot shots on net after first period, 9-4 in favor of Boston as
Hmm.
well. The Corsi four was almost double
Hmm.
for Boston through one period as well, and just and a power play with 5 shots on goal in one of the power plays too. Just buckled down and needed when they needed it most. But let's transition over to segment number 2, where we will discuss more about how much this win means for the Florida Panthers on Saturday night, and how much possible doubt that we had when the Panthers were down with 48 seconds left. So we're going to discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. But first, we're going to tell you all about Athletic Greens. Our next partner is a product that I literally use every day. And I started taking AG1 because being from South Florida, drink a lot of coffee. Ventanita culture is definitely a thing where you could just pop up to one of those windows at a Cuban restaurant, grab your coffee, and go. And, sometimes you need a little bit of a break from coffee. And that's why I take my Athletic Greens. And what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. With this special blend of ingredients, it supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition with just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different supplements, pills to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to save you a 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Back on this second segment here of this Sunday, January 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. It's a Sunday with Slemp edition of the show. And Alex, let's discuss about just when David Pastrnak scored with 48 seconds left. He's only second in the NHL in goals, right behind Connor McDavid. So, and he's up for a new contract. He's definitely gonna make somewhere around like 11 to 12 million on his new deal. Kind of taking over for what the Boston Bruins already have in their older superstars of Bergeron, Marchand being 34, David Krejci coming back. But man, you can only imagine. We could only imagine how the players were feeling at that time and the sense of urgency, especially after last night, the night before, where you fall behind 3-0 to LA. How much do you give credit to the players and coaching when it comes to just buckling down and coming out with that game tying goal by Aleksander Barkov?
I mean, all of it. I mean, you got it, it's. I would love to have been able to hear what Maurice and the other coaches were saying on the bench after Pastrnak gets that goal because they played such a good game, staying in it. Right up until then, you're looking like, okay, we're a minute away from at least getting a point in this thing. And then Pastrnak doing what Pastrnak does, gets a goal. You got like 48 seconds on the clock. It's been frustrating all game trying to get to Swayman, get some good chances on him. And you got to be thinking like, we just played a really good game against the top team in the league, and we're so close to gaining a point. And that is deflating. All those things hitting you, deflating. The fact that coaches are able to just rally up their players, and not to say that the players didn't have it in themselves, either that they need the boost from the coaches, but you got the coaches. I would love, just like I said, I just wanted to hear what they were saying to these guys, get them fired back up, regain the focus, and say the season is still alive. We still got this. You playing a good game. It is possible to get it done. To get those players jacked up, because like I was saying before, Montour just an absolute monster back there. Barkov stepping up as the captain that he is, doing what he did, to just willing his team to get that win. Every player who was on the ice for those last 48 seconds wanted it so bad. And I just you love seeing that kind of fight and battle out of the team. They get the goal, and then a few seconds later, Reinhart wins it on an absolute bomb, on a pass from Barkov, take the 2 points. I love seeing it, but big time credit to the players, dug deep and found a way, and big time to the coaches who kept them from wallowing and just lit that fire under their butt. So,
Yeah, and that's a good way for Barkov to get point number 600 in his career with that pass, and also the sellies that Barkov had. He's very to himself, doesn't like talking about himself, and then how crucial that goal was to go from 0 points to 2. And like you said, their first win when trailing after first period 1 and 2, and the first, and also Boston's first back-to-back losses as well. I did get this incorrect on the tweet earlier about the only team that beat the beat the Bruins twice. Ottawa's also beat them twice. But also, I want to give a lot of credit to the Bennett, Verhage, Kachuk line. They led the Panthers in Corsi for percentage and shot for percentage on the night for at 5-on-5 for the Panthers. And also credit to the Panthers as well, because they had two shots on goal through the first 8 minutes, and then ended up later in the period out shooting the Bruins 13-6, and just the desperation. And then really the Bruins weren't starting to dominate the Panthers zone until the last minute 30 as well, before eventually taking the lead. So I got to give a lot of credit to that second line for the Panthers as well, and of course the fourth line as well, for creating that energy. It has such a ripple effect for the Panthers there as well. And also Lundell. Let's talk about Lundell also taking a puck to the face after a shot from Forbort, and then coming back in as well, and just digging deep, and like you said, fighting for that board battle as well, right before Sam Reinhart takes a shot, and then Aleksander Barkov just scoring to tie it. And just the elation between the team, the coaching staff, the fan base, everybody, and just buckled down. And can you imagine how different this would have been going into the All-Star break on a 4-game losing streak
Mhm,
versus? I know this is just one win,
mhm.
but think about how differently this team would go into when your next game isn't until February 6th.
Yeah, it's huge getting this win. And it was like Maurice was saying after the game. He said that his players get to keep this one. They get to hold this one, right? And saying that we go into this big break and we get to reflect on a big 2 points against the best team in the league. Way better sitting, like you said, sitting in a break, knowing that you had a win, against the team you did. So you got that belief. You're like, no, we're a good team. Let's rest up. Let's get ready for this next big push, and we can do it. We've got that belief. So it's the night and day going into this break with the win as opposed to the loss. And I got to say, when we were looking at this back to back on the schedule, I didn't think it'd go the way it did. A loss against the Kings, a win against the Bruins. I thought that'd be flipped, to be honest. But this is, I would say, aside from winning both games, best case scenario to end it on that win. And you look at these guys like you just mentioned with Lundell. They're warriors. They really are. And you just see each and every player getting put down, but coming right back. You've got Bennett, in the game against the Rangers after he got tied up with Hedel there, and he comes back, tries to do what he can. We had Gustav Forsling, same thing, not staying out of the lineup. Lundell, these guys are warriors. They're here to battle. The playoffs for them has started a few weeks ago, and they're playing like they're in the playoffs right now. And it's just this battle mentality. This, we are a team. We're going to win as a team. We're going to do this as a team, and they've just all bought in. And it doesn't matter. They're not going to stay down. Like you said, you can't kill these cats. They are going to keep coming back. They have that belief. They believe they should be there. They know they stumbled in the beginning. They're trying to make up that ground now. And yeah, good luck keeping any of these guys out of the lineup with a little puck to the face. So yeah.
Yeah, and the Panthers also got a little bit of help on the night with San Jose Sharks defeating the Pittsburgh Penguins 6-4 in regulation. The
Hmm.
Islanders did beat the Vegas Golden Knights in overtime, but the Buffalo Sabres did lose to the Minnesota Wild in a shootout. And a game to watch tonight for the Florida Panthers is Capitals Maple Leafs at 5 p.m. on NHL Network. And then there's one more Panthers scoreboard watching. Capitals do play Columbus on Tuesday, and Buffalo does play Carolina at home on TNT on Wednesday night. So those are a few games for the Florida Panthers fans to watch as far as Panthers scoreboard watching, which is something I'm consistently doing. I know Alex is consistently doing, as they have possibly saved their season on Saturday night. But in segment number 3, we are going to discuss the upcoming All-Star break and the festivities and what we're looking forward to most on the weekend. But first, we're going to tell you guys all about FanDuel Sportsbook. And FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network because they're the number one sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that making betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet on 57 with a no sweat first bet. You'll get $3,000 back in bonus bets on if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line, point spreads, to who will score a touchdown. FanDuel Sportsbook is the app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid on your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at fanduel.com/locked on to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's fanduel.com/locked on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Third and final segment here on this Sunday, January 29th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. It is a Sunday with Slemp edition of the show. Alex Slemp from Full Press NHL is here on the show. And Alex, good like we spoke about, good vibes heading into the All-Star break with the Panthers. Just a few points out. Three more home games for this Panthers team right before they hit the road again, but of course it's very home heavy throughout this last stretch of games for the Panthers. But let's talk a little bit about All-Star weekend. We're recording this mid Sunday afternoon, right before the conference championship games in the NFL. And the Fort Lauderdale beach sweep has already happened for the region, and just happy for South Florida that they showed out. And one piece of advice and one recommendation that I hope is that for people traveling down is I hope that they leave the beach just as great as they found it, maybe even better. So happy for the region as well that we are preparing for this weekend. And what let's talk about what the events. So Tuesday is the City of Sunrise and Florida Panthers Hockey Festival, where at Holiday Park, where you get to have a picture of the Stanley Cup. Wednesday is the Coral Springs Hockey Festival and alumni game featuring Panthers alumni versus NHL alumni. There'll be a beach festival, which is free Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well at Fort Lauderdale Beach Park. Saturday will be the Saturday Sweat from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. right before the All-Star game, which is at 3 p.m. Of course, Friday night is the skills competition at FLA Live Arena, and then Sunday is the Meet the Mascots breakfast for the All-Star weekend. But which is what are you looking forward to most in the upcoming weekend for not only the Panthers but the NHL?
For me, I like these new what is it, skills competition games that they got going out there. They have that dunk tank one. They've got the chip in putt. I guess it is like the golf one. I like this golf thing. I think hockey and golf, it goes together like peanut butter and jelly. It's every hockey player, in the off season, they're out doing this. I think, they get some good banter with that going. So I like taking it a little bit away from, the traditional skills competitions, having something like this, like, hockey and golf combined. I think that's just going to be fun. I think we'll get to see a different side of these players, like their personality come out with these different sort of off ice activities. So I like that the league is starting to do that. We saw it in Vegas with the one where they're doing the chipping in front of the big old fountain there. I don't get the Vegas enough,
Bellagio
but
fountains.
there it is. That's what it's called. Yeah, so I like the idea that they're doing this. I think these are the kind of activities that help grow the game. It shows a different side of the players that we don't normally get to see when they're doing post game interviews or on the bench interviews or just in game, even when they're mic'd up. So I think it's a fun way to just kind of get to know your favorite players a little bit more. So I'm excited for these ones.
Yeah, and also some of the events that are like we spoke about, the splash shot featuring a dunk tank. Haven't figured out who's going to be part of the dunk tank sitting in. Don't know if it's opposing players from a different team. We don't know if it's Gary Bettman. We don't know if it's going to be the big name media guys like the Frank Saravellis or the Darren Dragers or the Elliot Friedmans of the world. But pitch and puck, and also personally for me, this is awesome for me hearing pitch and puck because I worked in golf media for 8 years and now
Right.
here with hockey for the last 2 going on 3. So personally for me, this is something that I hold near and dear to my heart as far as two sports that I really like. And of course, funny enough, next month the PGA Tour is going to make their Florida swing too. So it goes hand in hand for everything. But also the players who are going to be part of the skills competition is as well. Roberto Luongo being suiting up for the celebrity goalie in the breakaway challenge as well. Some women's hockey players like a Sarah Nurse and Hillary Knight as far as participating in the All-Star game as well. Of course, we always have the same ones like the fastest skater, hardest shot as well. So those are things that of course we look forward to as fans. We don't know necessarily how much the players necessarily care for the event. I know that Alexander Ovechkin sometimes takes a suspension for skipping the event sometimes, but don't know if he'll be skipping this due to the playoff race where Washington stands now. But just an opportunity to showcase the region as well. And Alexander Barkov spoke a lot about it too. But also a little bit of something that's strange about the event too is with FLA Live Arena being on the western side of the county and all of the events happening on most of the events happening on the eastern side of the county. Of course, the alumni game having happening in Coral Springs, a little bit north of the arena. Man, if you're going to every single event, I will say you're going to be spending a lot on gas money this week as well. So I just want to tell everybody, prepare yourselves for a lot of travel around the region if you're going to attend every single event. But but at the same time, I'm excited for this. For you, Alex. Who we don't necessarily know all the names neither for every single event. Is there a name that you're specifically looking for like maybe like the hardest shot or fastest skater?
Oh man, I mean, I love seeing who wants to step up and try and dethrone Connor McDavid out there taking that quick lap. That's always fun. I mean, I it's like you said, Ovechkin always wants to, take his annual suspension there, whatever you call it, for skipping the All Star game. But I love when he's in there, so I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays, and I want to see him in the hardest shot. The guy's made a living off of that bomb from the left circle. I want to see him. Who knows how many more he's gonna attend. So I want to see Ovechkin in it, and I want to see him take the hardest shot. I just want to see him load up that cannon and blow away the radar gun. So and I just love what you said about Bettman, and if he was the guy sitting on the little seat for the dunk tank. I mean, what better way for Bettman to, maybe get a few more fans on his side than be like, all right, I'll give you a chance to dunk me. I think that'd be great for his image. So the
Yeah,
line will be long for people wanting to dunk him. So,
yeah, and I think it, you know, we he plays a little bit of he plays the PR game. He has a little bit of a poker face to him when he talks about
sure.
certain things. And of course, we were just speaking before recording about his comments about how teams don't tank and how much we don't buy it neither. And this would also give a little bit more of like a personality to even the commissioner of the NHL. Hardest shot, I like to see Steven Stamkos as part of the hardest shot as well because he has a rocket of a one timer as well from that left side as well,
Yeah.
and also fastest skater. I like to see Artemi Panarin to participate in the fastest skater as well. That's maybe Trevor Zegras as well. That will be another player that I like to see as part of the fastest skater. As well. So those are just a few names that I could name as far as that. But I'll
I,
be likely traveling down the in the middle of the weekend to go to the All Star festivities. So I'm really excited for this region to be shown off to the rest of the NHL world.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just an exciting time for the franchise and for the area. They get to show off beautiful part of the state and show off the very passionate hockey fans that are down here. I know we just hear it all too often about Florida being not your traditional hockey market, but I kind of get tired of hearing about that because the fan base down here is incredible. They're so passionate. They love their hockey. So I think it's just a great time to be able to showcase the love for the sport that these fans have, and just how awesome a place Florida is to have professional hockey. So, yeah, I'm pretty fired up about it. Hoping to get down there myself for all of the events. And yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. That's for sure. Looking forward to it.
I'm definitely looking forward to it as well, and I can't wait to meet up with you once again in person and see you again in
Yep,
person as
absolutely.
well. So I'm super excited about that. But
Got to do live show.
hey, if we can get the arrangement and a place to do it, I'll be more than happy to do one. That's for sure. But Alex, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday with Slemp edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Tell everybody where they can find you, your articles, and more importantly, your podcast.
That's right. Yeah. Well, once again, thanks for having me on. It's I love getting to guest on your show. You do such a good job on here, and so always fun to be back. You can get all my stuff over at fullpresshockey.com. I cover the Florida Panthers there, and I also have my podcast, Full Press Panthers, and I release an episode every Sunday and Wednesday on that. Again, you can get that up on the site or just wherever you catch your podcast from. So and I also do a lot of all the Twitter stuff. So you see my handle right up there, Alex Slemp. So that's where you can find all of my work. So always appreciate anyone who's tuning in and checking out what I've got to say on it. And yeah, that's all
Uh,
I got.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. And of course, Cats fans, make sure to follow him and his work, and of course, subscribe to his podcast as well. So, Alex, thank you once again, and honestly, see you very soon.
Very soon. Looking forward to it, man.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey with Flip Livingstone and Steel Ronan, and Locked On NHL Prospects with Heidi Halakash. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. And for your second listen of the day, make sure to listen to today's episode of Locked On Sports Today. Peter Bukowski gives you a 20-minute or less podcast on the entirety of the sports scene with local experts and the take of the day. Follow Locked On Sports Today on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. So I'm Armando Velez with Alex Slemp, and you've been listening to the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.